Okay, I guess we can probably start. Welcome, everybody. My name is Enrico Levi. I am the founder and CEO of uh, the company name is Florida Insect Control Group. We are known and doing business under the name of Inzecto. The title of the webinar is Mosquito Control Made Simple, but sometimes making things that are simple to use is not that easy. And trying to move this presentation, which is not moving. Okay, sorry. And if you are trying to develop new products in pest control that really works, the structure that you need to build needs to be built on three fundamental pillars, and you cannot skip this process. The new product, every new efficient product needs to be built on biology, technology, service. You need to have a strong knowledge of what is the biology of your insect target, so how it reproduces, how it feeds, what attracts, what repels. But then also and based on that, developing technology that really are capable of breaking the life cycle of the insect, and that's insect alone possibly, in order to preserve the environment. But also developing products that not only work, but they are easy to be implemented and also profitable for those that are using and providing the service. When it comes to the biology, maybe a lot of you will know this very well, but it might be worth repeating the concept. The mosquito biology is basically goes through the development in four stages: eggs, larvae, pupae, and adults. Three out of four stages of the metamorphosis take place in the water. And it's pretty clear from this picture uh, uh, that if you only treat adults, you're missing part of the picture. You might be winning the war in the short term, but you're losing the war. At the same time, if you only do larvicide or treatment, you might still get bit by the adults. Also, in order to understand how the mosquitoes, where the mosquitoes like to lay their eggs, we went through an analysis of all the elements that they like. They like to see a food source for their larvae. They like to see lay eggs in a place that is in the shade that provides high humidity and protection from the wind, that contains no predators like the fish, that has vertical sides because they like to glue technically their eggs on the side just above the water level or on the water, depending on the species. Uh, they need to have a rough landing surface because they need a grip. They need also for their legs, but also for them to lay their eggs. The site that attracts them need to have specific colors. They like dark, so black is their favorite colors together with the red. And they like to see existing larvae. They are almost a testimony that the place is safe for laying eggs. But also, they also like containers that are nearby. They are not great flyers. They will not fly very long distances to lay their eggs. You also, everybody in our industry says that it's a mosquito season. Like if there was a moment where only mosquitoes are alive. It's not true. Mosquitoes do not bite during the winter because they're not in the stage of their metamorphosis where they are adults flying, but they are present in your yard. They are present as eggs that are dormant, that are going to be laid at the end of the fall, but they will be ready to survive the winter and ready to hatch in the spring. What you see in this container is not dirt, are just Aedes aegypti eggs just waiting for some water to hatch. The current systems presents challenges. The ULV services, you're all familiar, provide short-term protection. They only kill flying adults. Of course, they are not producing any form of control for the larvae. The more common barrier treatments might last longer, up to 3 weeks, as long as the rain doesn't wash them away, really, but also do not provide larval control. And also provide some limitation, because you can, in many places, you cannot provide them if there are flowers planted close to water, if there are food plants. The challenges that our industry is facing is also increasing. There are many more laws that are regulating the protection of the pollinators, that are protecting the waterways, lakes, food plants, pets, livestock. So in general, with global warming, climate change, providing longer season for mosquito activities, and mosquito activities also in areas that historically were not seeing much activity, well, we are fighting a tougher war with fewer weapons. So we decided to develop something new. And the way we went for this was to engage with the University of Florida, which has the #1 entomology department in the world. But we were lucky enough to intercept at one stage a grant that made a difference in the development. Our research provided us by the Pentagon. The Pentagon has a program that called Deployed Warfighter Protection. I think the name says it all. It's made to protect the soldiers deployed. And with this grant, there came also a series of recommendations, which we incorporated in our product. Make it simple and make it sturdy. Simple because to protect the soldiers, they do not want to train a Marine to become an entomologist. It needs very simple. So simplicity was crucial. And the fact that it was also something simple and robust, so that cannot be broken. And the thing that we wanted to develop was an innovative ovitrap. Ovitrap is a place that attracts egg-laying mosquitoes. In order to be capable of and efficient, it needs to be more attractive than the competing containers in the area, and needs to be capable of killing both the adults and the larvae, in the sense that it needs to be able to interrupt the life cycle that I described earlier. When it comes to the attractiveness, the INZECTO Mosquito Trap has results that almost are challenging what we know about mosquitoes, what we knew about mosquitoes, in the sense that it tested that the introduction of one of our traps into a cage with the 4 competing containers reduced the number of the eggs in the other containers by more than 80%. This is a result that was never accomplished in terms in entomology. Very different also from what is provided by the products that are competing with this trap. But how do we do it? The attractiveness comes from the shape, the color, and the scent. The shape with these strange ribs that you might see makes it a container that holds and retains humidity, minimize evaporation, and therefore provides the freshest place in the yard, even during the hottest day of the summer. The colors are the colors that we describe as the most attractive. And we also put something that this sachet that you see in here, everybody thinks that that's where the actives are. It's not. It is technically is a leaf infusion that has a double meaning. The first one is that by giving the water the smell of the stagnant water, it might offset the smell of chlorine or fluorine that might come out of the tap water, that in the short terms are considered repellents, but also is perceived by the mosquitoes as a food source. Remember the things that are attractive to them, because they want to see that their larvae will eventually have something to eat that will survive. The inner part is also texturized, so has a level of roughness that is exactly what they like for them to land and lay eggs. The inner part, and this is the secret, you see how it is here in the video on when it is the open, is where our secret and patented formula is. It's a microporous polymer coating embedded with both the adulticide and larvicide for slow release. So envision something that might look like, I don't know, the anti-flea collar of your dog that is usually a sturdy plastic. Well, we developed something that we can spread inside of the trap and remain strongly attached to it. And the adulticide is permethrin, and then we have a pyriproxyfen as a larvicide. How do we do it? The mosquitoes are attracted to the traps. They enter the trap. They land on the internal surface. They die when they get in contact with the adulticide. If they can still lay eggs before dying, all the larvae die when with the growth regulator. These are some of the data that are coming from the results that are also submitted to the EPA for review. This is how it works. To kill them with two different insecticides in two different stages of their growth has also additional benefits. It helps avoiding the selection of insecticide-resistant mosquitoes. And if you are operating in an area where genetic resistance is a problem, you are using a product that will work and that will not increase the selection of the genetic resistance of the mosquitoes. It's also a product that is safe for pollinators because they will not be attracted to that, and is also recyclable. It is in reality already in part recycled. Depending on the batches, our product is between 15 and 50% made of recycled plastic. Where do you need to position? Well, first of all, the message is just add water. So the only thing you need to do to activate it is just add water. The sachet is already inside, just add water. And where do you place them? You place them in shaded area. Mosquito will find and will rest in living in shaded areas. So they will find it. It doesn't need to be visible, necessarily super visible to you. Actually, quite the opposite. So no exposure in the open sun, no exposure on top of concrete slab or metal area where they can get the heat from underneath. This needs to be the freshest place in the yard. The coverage is, as many times happens, it might depend. We're used to promote it as 1,500 square feet of shaded area. In reality, most of the operators struggle to understand what is shaded, what is not shaded. So reality, we have run some math, and it's about one trap every 4,000 square feet, and then might include a shaded or a non-shaded area. It's a product that works. Also, you can hang it, and in case. Just as a question that we receive all the time, what happens if I have a dog in the yard? The dog might knock it down. So what you can do, you can zip tie the product. You can do it to a stick, like in this case, or you can zip tie to a fence or to a plant. But you also can hang it. Mosquito will find it there, and and the protection of the tree will guarantee the shade. How does it work? This is the biggest challenge that we put our traps to the test. This is a test that was run in a cemetery in northern Italy. As you can see, from the picture above, this is an old cemetery surrounded by agricultural pasture and by a little forest. It's uh, the walls that separates the different section, but also from the outside, are very low. So mosquitoes can very easily go in and out from the cemetery. To make things more complicated, this cemetery hosts a feline colony, and therefore the municipality has forbidden the use of insecticide and treatments for several decades, actually. So this is a place that is exactly the kind of nightmare that pest control might face. So we divided actually the company that ran the test, which is an independent lab controlled by the Piedmont region in Italy, so separated the area in 3 different areas, each one with BG sentinels for control, and documented a wide variety of mosquito species present in the area, but mostly Culex and Aedes. And this is how they positioned them. It was one every, I think this is square feet, because it's not square meters. It's 1,650 square feet, and not meters. And positioned 52 traps. And what is relevant was that only 25% of the traps needed a water refill during the test period. The test period lasted over 17 weeks, so way longer than what is the label or our claims pretend the product to last. These are the sentinels. And the result of the test was a documented reduction of Aedes aegypti mosquitoes for about 43% between the treated and the control. This is a result in the worst possible scenario that we were able to find. The stress test we force our traps to take. What I think that is relevant in order to understand how the product works is also, and also for you to communicate to your clients, is to understand what to expect and what not to expect. You can expect and you should expect long-term mosquito reduction. How the results are not immediate. Results usually take 10 up to 15 days sometimes to produce show notable results. Why? Because you remember the life cycle diagram that we showed earlier. Mosquitoes that enter a mite trap are the mosquitoes that are ready to lay eggs. But when you position the traps, you will have eggs, larvae, and pupae already active in your yard. So those mite trap is not going to interact with those. They will enter the trap only when they have finished the 3 stages of their mutation and they are ready to lay their eggs. After 10 to 15 days, you will see the difference, almost quite a dramatic fall of the presence of the mosquitoes. You will have a post-storm effectiveness, which is always relevant when you have many clients. If you, for instance, treat 10 houses a day for 10 days in a row, at the end of the 10 days, you will have 100 happy customers. Then it rains, and the following week, you have, at the same time, 100 unhappy customers because they're getting bit. The presence of traps into their yards will make sure that the surge of the mosquito in those yards will be drastically slower, and it will allow you to provide a better service to your clients. You might expect the presence of larvae. Why so? Because you might be in a situation where you have population of mosquitoes that are genetically resistant to the permethrin. And therefore, they will be able to land inside of the trap, lay eggs, and the eggs will, when they get into the larva stage, also the larva will not die out of the permethrin, which is also released into the water. So the larvae will be killed with the growth regulator, that the growth regulator allows the larvae to live longer. So you might see larvae. If you see larvae, it's not that the trap is not working. It might mean that you have genetically resistant mosquitoes in the area. You also might see total absence of death at adults and larvae, because in the opposite case, when you do not have mosquitoes resistant to the insecticide, actually you have you don't have genetically resistant, most of the adults will die at contact, and if the larvae develop, it will be killed by the adulticide at a very early stage rather than going to the final stage of the larval stage. What you should not expect, again, is what I said earlier, immediate results. And you might not expect to see dead adults inside of the trap. They die at contact, but not necessarily on the spot. They might be able to fly outside and die in the vicinity. When we ran the test in cages, for instance, most of the dead adults are found outside of the trap. Service. How this translates into service and how you integrate the INZECTO with the programs. We came up with some ideas, and you may decide which one fits you the best. Essential, green, and on. We recommend at least 3 deployments: March, April, depending on where you are, June at the prime time of the mosquito season, and in September, when it might rain more often, but also when the mosquitoes that are active then are the mosquitoes that are going to lay the eggs that will survive the winter. So you want to use the attractiveness of the trap and the efficacy of the trap and the resistance of the trap to all weather condition to catch the last mosquitoes that are laying eggs in the yards. These are some simulation. Take this data with some grain of salt, although they are based on science. This is what you should expect with only 4 residual application and 3 INZECTO application in the yard. The red line is no control whatsoever. The blue is what you should expect with 4 residual application, and what you should expect with 4 residual application plus 3 in INZECTO application. This is what you should expect in a normal yard with only INZECTO application. So the number that you see here is clearly higher than the 43% reduction that we saw in the cemetery, because this is a simulation of how it should be in a normal yard, not in the most challenging environment. And why technicians love it? Please, I hope you are enjoying the funny faces on the right as much as I did when we prepared this presentation. They love it because it works at controlling mosquitoes. It's easy to install and maintain, and just make sure there is some water. They don't need to carry large amounts of water. There is no heavy PPE required, are easy to carry on the back of a truck. There is no need for refrigeration or any other special transportation systems. The product is recyclable. The clients love it because it's not invasive in the yard. Most of the clients, if you put it close to some flowers, will not even notice that. But also allows to sell year-round services. And overall, you have a documented reduction of the callbacks. Now, it's a little bit a funny way to have fun of our main competitors. There is only one other EPA-approved trap. And so I put this to show a little bit of the difference. If you read very carefully the label, you may see that in the PPE requirements for the INZECTO Mosquito Trap, you basically don't need a PPE. There are recommendations. The word must is never there. The other trap requires a NIOSH respirator. The effect of that requirements is that all the employees need to have annual medical examination, but they also need to shave. And this is why in all our testimonials we love to have those with big mustache, because they would have to be shaved. Not only, but everything is more comfortable when you don't need to wear the NIOSH respirator when you're working with 100 Fahrenheit. So do you want to be matte on the left of the poor guy on the right? Other reason is, of course, it works, is more attractive for oviposition. The data of the competing trap is that it is as attractive as a bucket. So 100 eggs deployed and the presence of the trap and the bucket, 50% will go to the bucket, 50% will go to the trap. If you apply the same math to the 4 alternative container that we had previously described, and you add the trap, you must expect a reduction in the other containers about 20%. This is the math, okay? Not 80+%. It's easy. Our product is easy to install and maintain. It also integrates better with other forms of control. If you are relying on the adults to spread the fungus to kill other insects, and then you are spraying and fogging and using a barrier treatment in that same environment, you are killing the mosquitoes that are supposedly going to kill the other mosquitoes. Of course, in our situation, we don't need the refrigeration. It works in all temperature condition. And again, it works also during the winter. Why working over winter? Because it leads to the concept of the overwinter service that our product can provide, meaning that you might want to deploy the traps at the end of the season when you are no longer providing the traditional pest control services. The mosquito will go there if they are still active after you have finished your providing the service. But worst case scenario, they will deposit eggs there that you can use also for commercial purposes the following year to go and engage your client, but also to prevent the surge of the population the following year. How you promote the INZECTO products in your service. This is pretty much up to you, frankly. I can tell you what some of our clients have done in the past. So it's as a complement to traditional treatments, providing better protection, better service, reducing the callbacks and potentially reducing also the number of services that you need to provide, but also to provide your client with a sense of presence, a service that you are providing to your clients even when they don't see you in their yards. As a new eco-friendly service to clients that are sensitive to the environment, to the pollinators, and in a situation where traditional services are not possible, where there are many counties where if you have flowers, they don't allow you to spray anything. As the most cost-effective solution to clients that might be resistant to pay for high services, but they still want to have high-cost services, but they still want to have something in their yards. But also as a marketing leave behind. Clients will see that you are providing services also when they don't see you around. And also, as I was describing earlier with the year-round service of the overwinter treatment, to facilitate the year-round contracts at overwinter. This year marks the, actually, this beginning of this year marks the first million traps sold since we started making sales in 2023. So we are happy to share this information and the fact that we are now registered in 25 countries and that the process of registration is going on in 20 more countries. I'm also very proud to say that because all the activities that we have done, we have been recently nominated by a magazine called the Environmental Business Review as the Pest Control Product Development Company of the year 2026, which is a little bit of an accomplishment that makes us proud, because I think that the group of people, the panel that evaluated our company appreciated this approach. It's not the only award that we won. We work on through the years have been nominated transformational business for health and safety by the World Bank and the Financial Times, and on a corporate level, a few years ago, one of the top 20 university startups in America. But this is history. So I am ready for question and answer. Thank you for your attention. Jake, have you been able to read the question that the participant asked?
Yeah, we have a few, and
Excellent.
I've been kind of answering things as we go along here, but I'm going to throw a couple to you from Justin. Will the pupil stage be visible in the container if the product is working properly?
What would be visible? Sorry.
Will the pupil stage be visible in the container if the product is working properly?
If you are operating in a place where the mosquito population has some strong resistance to the permethrin, it is possible, yes. If you are operating in an area where the mosquitoes are not resistant to permethrin, you will hardly see anything, because permethrin is also released in the water, and it will kill the larvae at an instar 1 or 2, so very early on in the process, which is barely visible to the human eye. So they will not get to the pupae stage.
Perfect. What makes this trap better than N2 Care? You
didn't pay attention to my slide with the guy with the
she asked this before that slide. So
okay. Well, I said the only other EPA approved trap, so I guess that is the point.
Another one, why only a small portion of the machines needed to be refilled? I'm guessing that was during the cemetery portion that you had pulled
only
up.
A small portion, only 25% of the 57, if I remember correctly, traps that were placed in probably less than that in the cemetery needed to be refilled with water, meaning that despite this test took place for 17 weeks during the hot Italian summer, which is, for your information, summer that can be quite hot and quite dry. The shape of the trap is capable of drastically reducing the evaporation. So you can run tests. You will see that the trap is surprisingly good at retaining water. So it is a quarter of water. If you have a quarter of water and you leave it on a bucket, it will evaporate much, much faster than what can happen in a trap like that. All these ribs, all the shape is meant to facilitate the retention of the water and the humidity. So I thought it was an important data to report, because it also means that the maintenance needed is minimal.
Jacqueline asks, what's the best way to maintain water inside the trap in hot environments? We tried deploying them, but they went dry in 1 to 2 weeks.
That's very unlikely. Where the only place where, depending on how much water you place inside, you need to remember, first of all, you need to place them in a shaded area and not on a concrete surface. The only place where we have seen the need of refill in a month or less than a month has been with clients in Arizona, where basically the desert is so dry that they can evaporate quickly. In all other conditions, frankly, we never heard problems with the refill. And please keep in mind that the trap works perfectly as long as there is a teaspoon of water. So it doesn't need to be full to be effective. Quite the opposite.
And I'm going to add to that a little bit. I do have a couple customers out in Arizona that have had the same issue, and it's just they didn't have a whole lot of shade or anything. They put them underneath the drip line of the house, and they also used drip lines from plants to make sure they had a little bit of water inside of them. That's about the only way to take care of that. If they're drying up too quick, it may just be the wrong area for them.
But it's really the only place in Arizona where we ever heard this problem.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's not much, what do they say? It's a dry heat out there. So you don't get much water return. Here's another one from Mark. Some companies add IGR products to devices in between services. Do you recommend it? Why?
IGR, you already have an IGR in the trap, okay? The pyriproxyfen is a leaning IGR. The duration is long, so it might not hurt, but I don't see it that as necessary, frankly.
That's all the questions that we have open right now. We'll leave it open for a couple minutes if anybody has anything else.
For your information, we are recording the video, so the presentation. So we will, I think, edit because there might be some mumbling before starting the presentation. But we will assemble it and place it on YouTube and circulate it so that if you have colleagues, clients, or anybody in your organization that might want to see and go through them, that it will be available.
All right, a couple more questions, Enrico.
Yes.
What is the disposal process of the water in the container? Can it just be poured out into the yard?
What is that you usually say, Jake, on this?
As far as the water, I usually take, especially if you're, you can pour it in the yard, to be honest with you. It has such a minute amount of chemical in it. But if you're replacing the container and there still has water in it, pour it in the container that you're replacing it with, pour it in the new container. And so it starts out with larvicide in it right away. So, and adulticide. So that's how we typically handle that. And they are fully recyclable. So don't throw them away. Throw them in the recycle container if you can, please. Enrico, one more question from Mark. How long does the AI, the active ingredient, last inside the device in the toughest conditions? 90 days?
Okay. This is an interesting question in the sense that our current EPA registration is 35 days. Everywhere in the world is 90 days. We have all the data submitted to the EPA to prove that. We are waiting for a final decision, a final approval in a matter of weeks. So it lasts longer. The EPA label doesn't say that after 35 days you need to remove it. Quite the opposite. So consider 90 days the timing, and it is already I'd say conservative data. Okay. Because everywhere in the world, 90 days is when the mortality of the adults goes below 90%. The mortality with the larvicide lasts higher than 90% longer. But this is something that is not on the label, so it wouldn't be bad to leave it for 90 days. One technical information, since you're all operators and distributors, and we will have in a week on the 30th a new webinar. This time will not be on the mosquito trap, but it will be on the other new product that we have developed, which is the HydroTrail and the HydroTrail AG, HydroTrail for above ground. The HydroTrail is the new product that helps directing termites, foraging subterranean termites to the stations. And the new, this has already been presented before, but we have new data, new evidence. In the next webinar will be the first introduction to a new member of the family, which is Hydrotrail AG above ground, which is for the use to direct termites to above ground station in places where you already have active infestations. So the invite will be sent very shortly. Make a note, April the 30th.
I've got another question here. How many times can it be refilled before needing to be replaced?
We have evidence that it works just as fine after 1,000 refills. So you really need to be in a very dry area to have to do that, because it's a slow release. And the polymer has another characteristics. The release of both actives stops the moment that the container is dry. So it's not that once you activate it for the first time after 90 days, everything is gone. If the traps remains dry for a month, it's almost like that month didn't count. It's almost like when you play basketball and there is a foul on the field, the clock stops. And we have it tested for 1,000 refill, because after documenting that it was working after 1,000 refill, the student that was appointed to do that at the University of Florida decided that he needed to have a life.
That's a lot of refills.
Yes, poor guy, yes.
Okay, that looks like it. That's all the questions. Everything's been answered.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm very glad that we had a lot of interesting questions. I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion. And it's mosquito season now, so good work. Have a good season for everybody.
Go to your local distributor. We do not sell to pest control, actual PMPs,
Correct.
pest control companies. So go to your local distributor if you haven't already. They will sell you as many cases as you need.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.